My friends, may this fire bring us peace around the world. I have an important message to share this morning, and it's about truth and reconciliation. And this little booklet that was given to me 2 days ago while I was at a fasting ceremony at the Mississauga First Nation. I was sitting in the teaching lodge, and a woman arrived in the afternoon, and she sat next to me. And after some time, she said, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" And I said, "Oh, I'm just a random guy that happens to randomly be here today." And then I shared my story, how I got there. And she gave me this little booklet, Truth and Reconciliation, Calls to Actions. And I went through it quickly. I will have to read through it again. But what I feel I need to do, and this has been brought to me along my journey with the stories I've heard about residential schools. What my people, the church I was raised in, my government, like the white people have done to the indigenous people, is horrible, is really horrible. And what I'm going to tell you today is what really happened, the truth of what happened, the stories that have been told to me that I just cannot bury my head in the sand, and I need to reveal today. And hopefully with this message, my government, the federal government, the church I was raised in, the Catholic Church, will acknowledge what they have done. The literal, like the assimilation policies were really a genocide. And once we acknowledge that's like we have caused the genocide, then we can move forward. And then may this message bring peace and love and harmony to all humans. Because this is not just applying for white men and the red man. This applies to all people on this planet. There's been many genocides, many hate crimes against humanity, maybe hate between neighbors. And now is the time for love. There's a gentleman I met on this journey when I rode my bike up north, and we talked about love. Our love is the greatest medicine of all. Our love will heal us all. So please hear this story of what really happened on residential schools. And once you're aware of it, then we can ask for forgiveness for what our ancestors have done to the indigenous people, ancestors. And now we can heal. We can heal the grandmothers, the grandparents, the children of their children. And now's the time. Now, today, we can find harmony. So on residential school, I've had the privilege to attend the healing ceremony at the Spanish residential schools grounds last Saturday. And I've heard stories there, and there are stories that led me to be there on that day that I'm going to reveal to you because it is really important that we know. That our church, the Christian church, that Jesus had such a beautiful message of love, harmony, and peace. And now what was done to those kids in the residential schools is nothing to do about love, harmony, and peace. It's about control and lust and anger and hate. It's like all the sins have been committed by our church to those kids. I see my church and I associate with the Catholic Church as I was raised in the Catholic Church. For me, all religions, all of spirituality, all of beliefs are the same. We're all connected to this divine energy of love. God, Allah, the Creator, Krishna, like it's all the same. It's all the same energy of love, and it's time to go back to love. So hear me out with those stories I've heard of children pushed off the roof of their residential school just because they sang their songs. Pushed to die. There's murders committed. Brainwash of the older kids. So as you teach kids, hate, which is the complete opposite of the message of Jesus. Hate, and push hate. Well, they become hateful, and when you're in captivity at a residential school and taught hate constantly, and rape Well, the children have started doing that to the younger children. People stay until 16 years old and they've taught hate your people, hate your traditions, hate your language. So as soon as they would see it, there would be violence or rape or abuse or committed against their own people. And that, my church did that, which is absolutely horrible. Horrible. Babies put in furnaces because they were babies coming from the rape of the teenagers, of the children and babies. By the priests, the nuns would be burned in the boilers alive. It's people taught to hate so much, and in the name of Jesus. How could we do that? How could we let that happen? And I've been told, well, if my people would have spoken up, then because people knew, but you'd be thrown out of your community, and people would, it would be shameful. And now you spoke against your church. You spoke against the system. I'm so sad that this happened in the past. The rapes, the torture, the violence, the hate. Putting hate in people's hearts, in kids' hearts, and asking them to work, to become cheap labor for the community, actually free labor for the community. If they played, they would get beaten. They would get separated at their parents at 4-year-old, taken away. And instead of sending the kids to the residential school next door, they would send it to like far away in a different community and bring the kids from that community to this community so that they would not escape. It's absolutely horrible, horrible what we have done. And I'm so sorry I'm so sorry for what my people, my government has done to those kids, to those families, to those mothers separating them from their kids. And now teaching in school that when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, I learned in history class that we traded furs with the indigenous people and they taught us how to survive during winter. And that's it. That's all I learned. It's only later that I learned about residential schools when it was put to light, thanks to the help of a friend of mine I've met on my journey. Like she's one of the people who brought it to light, and many others. Because I was told, like even indigenous children knew nothing about the residential schools. They like the parents, the grandparents would be so ashamed of their history that they would not talk about it. So now that we know what really happened, well, it's time to share this message and so that people can know in their heart what we have done. And then we can forgive. And once we forgive, and like it might sound strange, but I've had the privilege of being bullied all my life. Let others push me around and tell me I was worth nothing, and just because I was different, because I was a dreamer, because I had visions, because I asked too many questions in class, and I always felt different from the other kids, and I was always bullied. To a point where I was a firefighter for 8 years, and I let others bully me at the station, and to a point where I thought I was worth nothing. I was worth nothing 5 years ago, and I wanted to put an end to my life. I wanted to die. And I'm grateful for that today because this taught me so much. When I wanted to die, there's a ray of light in my heart that told me to go on, that I had to find my purpose, that there was a bigger mission for me here. So I listened to this light, and this was hope. This was hope. So I went on a journey to find my purpose, and I found so many friends, so much joy. I made a lot of mistakes, but they were so important for me to be here in this moment, right now, in this present moment, to be talking and sharing this story with you today. The stories that I've heard about the residential schools. And the worst case of all is that residential schools, the last one closed in the late 90s, 1990s. Like that's yesterday. And I thought that was over. Now I was taught that indigenous people were drunks, alcoholics. They were like using drugs and violent people. And that's what I learned from people telling me. And that's what the prejudices people add towards the indigenous people. And that's what I thought when I was a kid. I was afraid to drive through reserve, like what's gonna happen to me? How can that have been put in my heart when all the people I've met, all the indigenous people I've met on my journey have been so generous? I'm here at the Healing Lodge in Thessalon, and that's not the first time that happens. It happens over and over again. People that have never heard of me. People that I've never met. Sometimes after 30 seconds, after a minute, after just a little while, welcome me. They offer me shelter, they offer me meals, they offer me warmth on this journey that I'm taking on with my bike across Canada. They offer me friendship, wisdom, advice, guidance, love, lots of love. That's the indigenous people. I'm so sad. And I understand that we try to forget this past that's absolutely horrible. But at the same time, it's like keeping it inside will not help. We have broken generations from the grandparents that were taught hate and love, like no love at all. Since they're kids, the love has been taken away from them. How can they give love to their own children and their own grandchildren? And this builds generations of hate. Now love is coming back. I see the light. I see the hope. I've seen it in my vision during the sweat lodge at the healing ceremony in Spanish last week at the residential school sites. I've felt love. Let me share the vision with you. Because I had a lot of questions on what it meant, and I've received all those answers this week along my journey with the people I've met, with the places I've been, with the birds that gave me messages. If you're not aware, because it was just told to me once, the story of the creation known by the indigenous people. And if you don't know about it, I'll put a link somewhere in the description. It's very beautiful, and this is what I saw in my vision. So I saw a fish swimming and jumping out of the water as I'm sitting there in the lodge and sweating, and I see the hot rocks in the center, and this is what I see, the fish swimming and jumping out of the water, and there's a seagull that flies by the fish and goes over the beach and sees 4 men in a circle around the fire discussing. There's the white man, there's the yellow man, there's the black man, and the red man, and they're discussing. And then I see in a pit on the ground, I see babies wrapped in sheets, like cloth. Babies wrapped in cloths. And there's 2 babies, and they're completely wrapped. They're dead in this pit. And then I see the wars between men. the war between men, and then I see a light, a golden light that comes towards me through my heart. And my heart brings all the golden light around. And brings peace, stops the wars. And the white man, the red man, the yellow man, and the black man are standing in a circle around this golden light, this love. And they're holding hands and at peace with each other. And around them are children from all nations on the planet holding hands. And behind those children are their mothers, standing behind them and holding hands with each other as well. Then the giant eagle flies over us, flies over all those people and smiles. And this was my vision, and I drew it in the sand when I exited the sweat lodge. And I shared it with a few people who told me that I would get signs of what this meant. I've shared this vision with my friends in Serpent River First Nation. And I've shared the drawing that I did in sand with them. I drew it in front of them. And my friend said, "Oh my God." And she looked on her phone, and I think 7 years ago she drew a logo for a kids community center or something like that in Winnipeg, and it was the same logo from what I've seen in my vision. So a heart, 4 circles around the heart, and then big circle for the kids, so the 4 men. The heart, the love, is how we will heal us, that will heal us all. I've spoken to a very wise man, a teacher, this week that I rode my bike north for a day and a day back to go see, but it was important. And he shared with me, and I recorded the interview, you will have the chance to see this later, that the greatest medicine of all is love. Is love, my friends. Is love, and love brings hopes in our hearts. And I hope that this message brings hope in the indigenous people's hearts, and that my story, that a wise woman I've met during the fasting ceremony, have told me that if I want to help heal people's hearts, well, just sharing my journey sometimes, sharing love, just listening to the kids, to the parents, to the grandparents, the grandmothers, the grandfathers, just listening sometimes brings hope. People have, like, the love have been taken away from the heart of many people through the assimilation policies or the genocide that my government, my church, have caused to the indigenous people. And it is time for my government, for my church, to recognize this genocide that they have organized. It wasn't a genocide where the Nazis did for the Jews, were putting them in gas chambers, or even the Rwanda genocide, where like people are killed through machete, and which is absolutely horrible that men would do that to each other. But it's time to forgive, my friends, as I've forgiven to the people who have bullied me and made me want to kill myself. The minute I forgave them, it took a lot of weight off my shoulders. It made me free. The moment we forgive, we become free. And if with a lot of love in your heart, one day you will be able to love those people. There's a gentleman that I've met many years ago, a few years ago, who was a kid. He was only a child during the Rwandan genocide, and they escaped through to Congo border, and they were in a camp. And in the middle of the night, he was woken up, and he went to play in the bushes, or he went to pee, I forgot. And during that time, people came to the camp and killed everybody. They killed everybody. They killed the cows, they killed the chickens, they killed the mothers, they killed the babies, they killed the parents, the grandparents, the men. They killed everybody. And he was there. He was standing right there in the bushes and saw it all. And this man, Manzi, shared his story of how he forgave those people, and he loves them. He loves them. They brought him where he is today. And if this man could do that while seeing a mass murder, like, that makes absolutely no sense why people would do that. I think we can all forgive, my friends. And we can all forgive. And we can all ask for forgiveness. And as I'm taking this journey across Canada on my bike, I am asking forgiveness for what my people, my church, my government have done to the indigenous people. But it is time. It is time. The time has come for my government and my church, or let's say my ex-church, to recognize the genocide that they have been part of, that they have organized, and ask forgiveness to the indigenous people. So I want the Pope, I want our Prime Minister to recognize, to say, we're so sorry for the genocide that we have organized of the indigenous people. The murders, the torture, the violence, the rapes, the brainwashing, putting hate in people's hearts while we're supposed to send a message of love. It is time for that to happen. And this will begin reconciliation. And I believe it's coming on September 30th. It's Orange Shirt Day, so I want everybody to wear an orange shirt then. And if you are indigenous, find it in your heart to forgive. Forgive me, forgive what my ancestors' ancestors have done to your people. And you will see hope. You will see love in your heart. And what I've received, the warmth of this fire, the protection from this shelter, from this healing center, and this really serves as a healing for me as well, to share this story with you today. Because I hear stories, and it makes me cry a lot. During the healing ceremony, I hear the story of a man who hasn't been in residential school, but his parents, his grandparents have been there. And he shares the story of how he was beaten when he was a kid because there was only hate in the grandparents' hearts. And this made me cry. It made me cry so much. And my nose was running, and I had to go find tissue. So I got up and I went to look for tissue, and this old lady, this elder, comes to me. And she's been through residential school, but she's the one who comes to me, offers me tissues, and she listens to me and lets me share my heart. And she gives me some of her wisdom and makes sure that I'm okay before I go back to the circle, to the ceremony. That is how heart connected the indigenous people are. She's the one who suffered, and she comes to take care of me because I'm crying. My friends, today the residential schools have not stopped. The last one was closed in the 1990s. Now I've heard stories, and I just cannot bury my head in the sand for what's happening, that the residential schools have been replaced by a childcare system, where to protect the children, children are taken away from their mothers because somebody, there doesn't even need to be proof. Somebody has seen a mother drink in front of her kids, lodge complaint, child services comes, takes the kid away from the mom, and she might not see them for years. Now the grandmothers are crying and want to see the children. They want to take care of the children. They say, yes, bring the children to me. And child services says, no, we want to protect the children. You're too old to take care of the children. And they separate the families. And this is how families are broken over and over again. Just like the residential schools, the kids taken away from their families and taught hate instead of love. And taken away from their tradition, their languages in the public childcare system, where they get raped again, they get mistreated. It is so sad. And I hear that there's a lot going on in the system where to take care of a child is a very, very good business, especially when they're indigenous, because you get paid by the government, by the Indian Affairs, and by the provincial government. So federal, provincial, and Indian Affairs, which is a new name now. And if the child has mental health issues or physical disabilities, the caretakers get even more money to take care of the children. So, which pushes to put the children on medication and saying that they're disabled or that they have mental issues. Which, like, putting children on medicine to get more money in your pocket is absolutely horrible. Horrible. And this still happens. Just 2 days ago at the fasting ceremony, I've met the keepers of knowledge and the protectors of the children, and they're rebuilding. So now the indigenous people are replacing those government-led agencies to take care of the children themselves and heal the mothers, and like the hope is to bring them back to their children as soon as possible, rather than take them away for as long as possible. And this is beautiful. I am so grateful for what they're doing, and I think it's so amazing. So now the indigenous people are taking back control and power in their own hands. Their hearts are spreading, and this is what the Creator has given them in the story of creation. They've given the red man, the indigenous people, the heart and the instinct. For the white man, it was the fire and technology, the ability to build machines. For the yellow man, it was the ability to build systems and to reproduce anything that they would see. And for the black man, it was the power of dance and songs. And they would say in the story of creation that only the Creator, and I've heard this only once, so sorry if I'm mistaken, when the Creator is on the third, this was the third, I believe, the third creation. So start over again, because it didn't work the first time, it didn't work the second time, and that's great. We see, like, try something. It doesn't matter if you fail, just do it again. And this, if it would fail this time, and that the red man, the yellow man, the black man, and the white man would not find peace, we will be on the fourth creation, and we don't know what's going to happen, and maybe life will end for us all, I don't know. But I think that we can make this happen right now, especially with the vision I've had of those four men coming in peace together, because it's all love. With love, we can heal everybody. Love is the answer. Love is the greatest medicine of all. Love is what we need. And for love, well, we need to forgive. To let place for love, we need to remove this hard shell that we've built around our hearts. This hard shell that I had when I let others bully me, and I would not talk about it. I would just keep it inside, and like inside this shell that I had to protect my heart. Well, I was feeling pain inside. And once I forgive, the shell was removed. And as an elder I met on my journey told me, a lot of people have built a shell around their heart, but the interior is always soft. So my friends, find the love in your heart, forgive, or ask for forgiveness for our past. Yes, we've made mistakes. Everybody has done mistakes. I've done a lot of mistakes in my life. But I recognize them, and I asked for forgiveness. I've bullied one person in my life, in the school bus, because I had a crush on Laugh, and she had never noticed me, and because I made her laugh, I kept bullying this person. And that was a big mistake. And a few years later, I met this person again at the rock climbing gym, and I asked him for forgiveness for what I had done and what I had caused, and we became climbing buddies for a while. So my friends, love is always the solution. So with those residential schools that our government, our church have led, this childcare system that replaced or was going on at the same time as the residential schools to break the families and remove the love from the heart of the kids, of the mothers, and brought a lot of people to drug abuse, alcohol abuse, to violence. Well, now we can bring the love back. And just by putting a little bit of love, just a tiny little drip of love, we put hope in people's heart. And this is enough. Just a bit of love saved me from killing myself a few years ago. And this can do for the rest of humanity. So my friends, peace and love, my friends. Much love, much needed love. And know that once we are able to love each other on this planet and live in harmony with each other, we will find harmony inside. When we find harmony inside and you forgive and you let place for love, you find harmony inside. We find harmony with each other, with our planet, and all living things. And this is how we are meant to live. And the indigenous people, with their traditions, with their songs, with their prophecies, with their stories, have so much to teach us on living in harmony with the planet and all living things. They will be the teachers in the present and the future that we need to listen to, all of us, for the future of this planet, because the pollution is going to hurt us all, that we have caused. The plastic pollution, the fossils, combustible pollution that we have caused because of our system. We want to mass produce and make more and more money because success is important. Success, money. I ran after that during my journey to find my purpose, and I wanted success and money because I wanted to prove to the people who had bullied me that I could make it. And that was a mistake, but it was an important part of my journey so that I would understand many that are doing the same. And what was told to me by a wise man I met up north is that what is success? Success is knowing that you can drink the water from a creek that you have cleaned. Success is knowing that you're sharing a meal with a homeless person that you're helping get off the street. That is success, my friend. Success is in your heart. It's not in your bank account. On your deathbed, ask your question on your deathbed. Would it really matter how many employees you had, how much money you made, how many cars you collected? Does it really matter? Or what matters is the love that you spread around you and the love that came in your heart from the people around you. That's what really matters. We're all love, my friends, and we're all meant to share love around us. And just be love. Love your day. Be grateful for this other day that you're alive and that you're on this planet, on this beautiful planet with the beautiful people around you. So my friends, it's time to forgive. It's time to forgive ourselves for the mistake of our past. So I want my church, my government to recognize that we have made mistakes. I ask forgiveness and I forgive myself for those mistakes. We've done horrible things, but now it's time to find harmony within. So ask yourself for forgiveness and ask others for forgiveness. We've all made mistakes. It's normal. Some of those mistakes were absolutely horrible, but they were still mistakes. Now it's time to find peace. The indigenous people have been so welcoming and so generous. I want to recognize that and say thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart, from all my heart. And may this message share this golden light, this golden healing light of love around the world so that we can live at peace with each other. My friends, much love. Much love. And remember, guys, when you do good, good things come back to you. Bye.